Welcome to A Seat at the Table, a podcast powered by the Icehouse, a place for courageous conversations empowering diversity and community in business. You are part of the conversation and have as much to say as anyone else.
It's a great honour to have you here today, Natasha, and wanted to introduce you today to our Sit at the Table podcast, Group CEO of 200 Doors, New Zealand Distributor for Dermalogica, and founder and owner of Skintopia. I've got to say, Dermalogica is a product that I have always admired and used for decades. So really, really excited to be talking to you today.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you for that intro. It's really lovely to be here, and I'm equally excited. I can't wait to get into the conversation today.
Yay.
Awesome.
So Tosh, what we do with these podcasts is we start with some quick fire questions. So I'm just going to fire at them. Short answers, 1 or 2 words sometimes, just whatever comes naturally. Ideal holiday.
Oh, I think Greek islands on a sailboat.
Ooh, doesn't we all want to go there right now? Party with 100 or 5 people.
I'm going to say 100, but I'd probably only speak to 5 people at the time.
There for the vibe, but yeah.
Love when that. Are you most relaxed?
Other than when I'm asleep, probably floating in the water somewhere. Love the water.
One thing you are curious about right now?
The gut microbiome.
Wow.
I think we need to unpack that.
You might have to come back to that
I'm
one.
not an expert. Please don't unpack it too much.
What does a day in the life of Natasha look like?
It's really varied, which I like because I get bored easily.
Nice.
Last one. If you were to write a book tomorrow, what would you write about?
Probably a children's book, maybe on building resilience.
I love that. Can you please do that? I feel like
I've been thinking about it. I have been thinking about it.
This is a sign that this is the
it's
time
a bucket
to do
list thing.
Yeah.
How come? Where did that come from?
I'm a mother.
Yeah.
And I think kids need to learn that, failure is part of life, and that when you reach an obstacle, you got to, turn around and try something else. Kind of imagining a labyrinth, would be like a really good, visual part of the storybook.
She's thought about it. There's details.
Definitely thought about
Really,
it.
there is. And I think you're right, though. The illustrations would be so important.
Wouldn't it?
You write, and somebody could illustrate.
Watch the space.
I don't mind if somebody borrows that idea. I'll look forward to reading it.
Why do you think resilience is so important?
Well, I think it's important just for everybody at all stages of life. We all take knocks throughout life. It is part of life. Failure is part of life. And it's what makes us strong. And it's just looking at how do we support resilience on an individual basis? Like, what does that mean for each of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's so
Awesome.
cool. We're warmed up, so we're just good to go. We're excited. We're going to start with this nice open question. That is, who is Natasha? What are you passionate about, and what does life look like?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm really passionate about my family. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a stepmother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and those people are super important in my life. So a lot of my time is centered around my family. We're very close. I'm really passionate about my job. I love the industry that I'm in. I've had a very fortunate career to be part of the beauty industry since a little girl. I've literally grown up in the industry. I have an opportunity to work with women all day long. I'm very passionate about supporting women in their career. And I love skincare. No great surprises there. I love health. I'm really passionate about health. It's one of my passions. So that's me, really.
Very cool. That's awesome. You go for it, Liz.
Yeah, I'm just going to go because part of your answer certainly leads me here about what has your childhood or upbringing actually meant in terms of being formative to who you are today?
Yeah, I think it's been hugely formative for me. I grew up with a very strong, independent, entrepreneurial mother, and she's still all of those things today. She came out from England and with my father actually, who's Kiwi, And she really came to New Zealand and settled in the beauty industry and like made a lot of changes. She was very innovative. She invented things. At some point, my dad joined the business to help her grow it. So I really like watched them like run a business together, and they brought very different skill sets as well to their partnership. But you know, they always taught me to believe in myself, to be confident. You know, I grew up really watching them take risks and try things. So I think that has really instilled in me this, you know, like creativity and entrepreneurship, and belief and confidence. So, you know, when I finished school, like it wasn't always my game plan to join the industry and the family business, but I did find myself, you know, when I was 18, like heading in that direction and studying beauty therapy, and then going on to do a business degree at Massey, and then shortly after going to London and working for Dermalogica for a few years over there, which was just the most incredible experience. You know, I've had a lot of great opportunities, and I've been really fortunate. And I think for me, I want to be able to give other people those opportunities and pay it forward. And I think that's where I get a lot of satisfaction from.
Well, good on you and good on them, because sometimes we see people who grew up in households where their parents were owners of businesses, and it's the last thing they want to do when they grow up. So I think the environment that they created that positioned it as something that, you know, might be a choice for you.
And look, they worked hard, but also, like, I remember even from being a little girl, like coming home and mum was baking cookies. Like, she was this crazy super mom. So
Putting me to shame.
Did it all.
But she was ahead of her time, right?
She
Like,
really was.
yeah.
And, you know, I grew up in Palmerston North in the 80s and 90s, and she was really different to everyone else's mum. I remember that.
I think when you grow up in like family business environment, you grow up with this like embedded sense of resilience, because I think you see your family and your parents go through highs and lows.
Absolutely.
I think you sort of,
Yeah.
it is formative.
It is, and I think you're right. You do see the highs and lows. Like I remember, like a lot of stressful conversations at points in their life, and it was always around the family dinner table at night.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
probably doesn't, you know, I mean, there's pros and cons, right, of growing up in a family business and being exposed to that. But but I think for me, like it definitely has been formative and shaped who I am today.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more pressure on you joining the family business and to succeed?
Oh,
Great
yeah,
question.
I mean, I think like most people, you want to make your parents proud, right? Like you want to do right by your parents, and I think and it's always going to be a different dynamic when you work for family. You know, like I'm sure we all experience this, that you can just be so honest and truthful and blunt with family members, and sometimes not in a good way. So when you bring that into a work environment, you know, you can imagine sometimes you can get away with saying things to each other that would not normally fly with a normal like boss-employee relationship.
Yeah.
Get a PG against you from your mum.
From your mum. Totally. Yeah, for sure. We talk a bit about the highs and lows. Would love to hear from your perspective what's been one of those mountaintop moments, and then the deep valley moment as well.
Sure. I think there's been a lot on the business journey. I think, you know, something that is probably still fresh in my mind from recent trauma is, you know, COVID, if we can talk about that. But
yeah, totally.
I think there were a lot of, you know, deep valley moments, particularly when we first went into COVID, and just straight away, like we're trying to understand like what is the impact going to be on the business. We're trying to mobilise people to work from home remotely, and that wasn't an easy thing because a lot of our employees are not equipped to work from home. Like we've got an all-female workforce. We've got around 45 people across our company. We've got a lovely team of ladies that work in our warehouse on the distribution side, driving forklifts. Not a job you can do from home, you know. And the same in our Skintopia locations, which we've got 5 of those around Auckland and Wellington. You can't give a skin treatment from home. So we were really having to think quite hard around how do we work this and make sure that we look after our people and their mental health and keep the culture alive. And that was really stressful at the same time as, you know, trying to like look after my own mental well-being and homeschool children. And so I think initially it was super, super stressful. But what happened, I guess not long after that, is COVID surprised us, and for our business it ended up being, you know, particularly that first year, a really, really successful year for us in business. We've had e-commerce with Dermalogica for, well over 10 years. We were probably an early adopter in that space in the beauty industry, and because of that we were really well equipped to deal with COVID. We had a phenomenal sales result. So that in itself was a mountaintop moment, but more importantly for me, we have a program on our website where we support our wholesale stockists so that if their clients go to the website and purchase Dermalogica online, they can choose them, and if they choose them, we pass on the profit margin to their business. And so at the beginning of COVID, we stepped that up in terms of what we were giving them in terms of profitability. So it was basically exactly what they would make in store. And all of our customers, they had no ability to earn money like during that first lockdown. So it was really empowering to be able to give them a tool so that they could earn money and keep the bills being paid and that sort of thing. So that was definitely a mountaintop moment. And I think also towards the end of the first year of COVID, we had at the beginning of COVID gone out to our team and said, look, we don't know how what's going to happen. We're really worried. Economic outlook's not good. We don't want to make aggressive staff cuts. Would everyone opt into a salary cut? And so everyone agreed to go down to 80%. And unlike a lot of companies that I think did that, we also dropped people's hours to 80%, because I heard of a lot of companies just expecting people to still work, their normal hours. And then we had this great year. So at the end of it, we and we only did it for a few months, but we were in a position to go back to our team and say that, that difference, that salary cut that you took, we're going to pay that back to you as a bonus. So that was a really nice mountaintop moment for us. So it was, I think people talk about what a roller coaster it was, and it certainly, it did feel like that at the time, but I think that's what comes to mind for me.
Wow. Sounds like you're a really values-based person. Like,
definitely.
Yeah. Did that come from your parents, or is that...
It's a really good question, because of course the upbringing, and I think there's so much of my parents are such kind and generous people, and I think I've definitely got that from them, from the upbringing I've had, and my mum is incredibly courageous and brave, but really struggled for a long time in business to land on what are our values as an organisation. And we'd been working with a couple of business mentors, and I tried to make it a very collaborative process where I involved the entire team, and then we ended up with some values that didn't really resonate with me. And it wasn't until I did the owner-manager program with Icehouse back in 2016-17, we had David Irvine come in and speak about culture. Is that right, Liz? That's what he spoke about. And I just loved what he spoke about. He was so inspiring, and I went up to him afterwards on break, and I was like, David, I need to talk to you about this. I'm really struggling to articulate, our values, and we've always tried to make it this collaborative process. And he said, no. He said, values are what you as the business owner bring to the organisation. What are your values? And I was like, because everyone wants to say I'm honest and integrity and all of those things, and they're a given, right?
Permission to play, we call those.
Exactly.
Would you be not that?
So I went out to a few friends, and I was just like, I sent them a message, and I just said, can you just give me a few words that come to mind? And they were like, well, you're really open. Okay, so that's now one of our values. I'm open. Kindness is one of our values. Fun. We have a lot of fun at work. And then we've added a couple of others. So, courage, we talk about being courageous a lot at work, and also owning excellence. And I think one of the things that surprises a lot of people is that our values are very much alive in our organisation, because people talk about values and they have them written up on the wall somewhere, but they're actually not a thing, right?
Totally.
Whereas at our company, we talk about them, we celebrate them, we bring them into performance appraisals. They're part of our recruitment process. We've actually not hired people because we haven't felt that they live the values in a job interview. They're very important to me, values.
Wow.
So I might take you back to the discussion around mountaintop and deep valley, and just focus on you for a second, because it'd be interesting to understand when the going gets hard, how do you keep going, and what keeps you motivated and mentally sound?
Yeah, I think, the fundamental thing is you've got to look after your well-being. So, managing, I will manage my stress better if I know that I am getting good sleep, if I'm exercising, eating well, not drinking too much. It's they're basic, right? We all know those things. Aside from that, like having a really good support crew, like you've got to have people that you can talk to. And I'm really lucky. I've got a great team. I've got people in my team that back me all the time. My husband's amazing. We've got some external advisors that we work with. I've also got a really tight-knit group from when I did the Icehouse, as you know, Liz, that we keep in regular contact.
Cool.
They're part of my wider network. Those things like keep you sane. And then I think also it's about being really connected to your work and why you do what you do. Because when the going gets tough, you need a reminder about why do I do this? What is it that I'm passionate about? And if you don't have that, then I think that's when people get sick.
Yeah, so true. And it's a long-term game, if you're looking after your people, you have more effective, business and culture's strong.
Got a lot of longevity on our team. We've got, someone that's been with us, I think, 25 years this year. We spoke earlier about, we celebrate milestones. Her name's Caroline, so when on her 20th work anniversary, we got an Elvis impersonator to come up and sing Sweet Caroline to her.
We love that. That's awesome. Oh, good. She's just like, yes, this is my moment.
That's awesome.
It's so cool.
Why do you think Caroline's been with you for 25 years? That's just incredible.
It's really been longer because she worked for my parents prior to that. She's actually known me since I was a little girl. She's just been so instrumental in us growing the business. And I think before her and I started working together, she had this incredible relationship with my mum. And, supported my mum, and they worked so well together. And, Caroline loves Dermalogica so much. She's so passionate about what she does. She's so good at what she does. She's our educator.
Cool. That's very cool. I'd love to ask the question, what does a seat at the table mean to you, and how does it impact the way you lead and run your business?
So I think a seat at the table for me, first of all, I think it's a great honour to be here talking with you today. And I guess it means that, yes, it's your opinions are valued and your experience and your story and your journey is worth sharing. For me, being here today, it's really special to be able to talk about, my journey in business and to talk a little bit more about, the importance for me of supporting women and with the EmpowHER scholarship that we're launching as well. And I really think how it affects me as a leader is I want to make sure that in my own organisation that people feel that they have a seat at the table too.
Great.
At all levels, that everybody's opinions are valued and, we want ideas from everybody.
That's so cool. I love that.
What do people misunderstand about you most?
I don't really like talking about myself. I struggle with that quite a lot, actually. I do these things and I'll stand up and I'll present, but I get myself in a little fit of nerves about it beforehand. Something that I do that I think confuses people when they don't know me is I am one of those people that when I'm thinking, I'm talking out loud, and I sometimes do it, in a meeting, and I've got a newer team member that I've been working with quite closely lately, and she sits there and she's like, so are we changing the plan? Are we doing that now? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm just thinking through options when I'm talking.
She talks to think.
It's really annoying.
It's such an awesome quirk. That's brilliant.
Yep, love it. Can totally relate to someone who talks to think.
That's so cool.
Yeah, if ever I've got a problem or something I need to work through, I'll just go sit in Angie, my business partner's office or someone's office, and I need to sit there and I just need to talk it through, and then I'll be like, yep, okay, got it, and walk out. Just got to verbalise it to work through that issue.
That's so brilliant. I love that.
So what are some of your biggest learnings in terms of running 200 doors in Skintopia?
Well, so many learnings. I've been in this role for a long time, and we've gone through a lot of changes and growth in the organisation. I had a huge amount of learnings when I did the owner manager program. I just loved it, and we were going through a lot of changes in the business at that time because we were talking about succession and what does this look like with me taking over the ownership of the business.
Right.
I also wanted to do some new things, and at that point my parents were a little bit risk adverse, understandably. I had this idea of I wanted to open Skintopia, didn't quite have the concept planned out then. But so definitely doing the Owner Manager program gave me a lot of tools around how to have those conversations and, how to do it confidently and validate my ideas. But there's also been a lot of failures over the years as well, and I think you learn from all of those failures. We've tried things that haven't worked, we've tried things that have cost a lot of money, and it's forced us to reevaluate the strategy. Like one of those ideas was we used to have a retail store at Westfield Albany a number of years ago for Dermalogica, and it was beautiful, and it was really popular and people came in, but it was also really expensive to run, and so that was a big learning for me around how do we want to present ourselves within retail, and the learning that came out of that was more the store-in-store opportunity. So that was a valuable one, as well as just like if I was to look back and maybe how I could have done things better, just having a better understanding of financial literacy. I was given an opportunity to run a big team from a young age, and I come from a marketing background, and I probably didn't have like all of the skills in that area that I needed. So pretty early on, I realised that I needed to outsource and get good advisors in to help me with that. But I think the sooner that you start learning that yourself, the more empowered you are to make great decisions. And that is something that I want my team to have now. So I really make sure that, particularly like my leaders and managers are really empowered and that they know how to understand the P&L and to make good financial decisions.
I mean, having experienced some of Natasha's journey that you've just been talking about, I'm not surprised that courage is one of your values, because I think, the courage that I've seen, from you in terms of doing things, getting it right, doing things, not getting it right, but going, oh well, and then still having the courage to do something that's risky again. It's
Fail
been
fast.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And learn.
That's what it's about. I mean, you don't want to look back at some point and go, gosh, I wish I'd tried that. I think that's probably one of my biggest fears, is that I look back at some point and go, did I not take that opportunity? So
and also the ability to ask for help.
Yeah, super important. Like you can't know everything.
No.
You can't know everything, and you've got to employ people who know more than you, and you've got to consult with people that can give you fresh thinking and great advisors.
That's so cool. That's great. You talk about Elvis, and that was an awesome example of celebrating success. What are some other ways that you celebrate success as a business, and why is it important to stop and take a moment to celebrate?
Look, I think we do a lot around celebrating success in that sort of, particularly in the culture space. Even when it's somebody's first day at work, we make it really special. Like we do birthdays, and we recognise people living the values at work. We have monthly awards, we have annual awards. Like we put a lot of energy into that. We also do a lot with our customers. So we have programs that they can work through as therapists and reach different tiers of like training, and they become experts with us. And we really big around celebrating their milestones, as well as with our business owners putting on fantastic events and recognition dinners, and so all of those things we want to celebrate.
That's really cool. Yeah. Sounds like you're leading the way in that, because we've had lots of conversations with different business owners and leaders on this podcast and in other ones, and sometimes the reality is it's like, well, we're on to the next thing, like we need to
you need to take a breath, right? You need to pause and you need to look back at, because otherwise if you're always constantly chasing things, like I don't think you're taking a moment to go, okay, let's just give ourselves a pat on the back and pause and reflect of all that we've done. We sometimes we have like certain milestones that we want to hit, and it's like everyone goes out for a beautiful dinner, or when it was our 25-year anniversary, we took the entire team down to Queenstown.
Wow, yeah.
So we've done some fun things, and this year is our 30-year anniversary.
Wow,
so,
congratulations!
It's going to have to be a big celebration.
Definitely,
awesome.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
So, probably appropriate for kind of me to come to this, but EmpowHER is a Women in Business Scholarship, and it will support Kiwi female-founded businesses to grow and to go, on to the next phase of their business journey. A scholarship opportunity, thanks to you guys, Dermalogica, and to Saben, which includes kind of funding and mentoring and Icehouse programs and coaching opportunities to help accelerate these female businesses. it's a great way to impact the next generation or those coming through and coming up. How important is celebrating and supporting that next generation to you, and how can others empower other women in the next gen well?
I think that's a great question. Look, it's really important to me. Obviously, I think I've spoken about that and all the work that we do with our own team and with our customers. I think even just growing up for me, I had this amazing mother and father, and I was given some great opportunities, and I just remember not all of my friends having those same opportunities, or even just having like some real limiting beliefs. So supporting other women is hugely important to me. I've been fortunate that I've been able to do that in lots of different ways through my company. Even, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, but even my business partner Angie, we've worked together for a really long time. And I encouraged her early on in our working relationship to go to uni and to study, and she probably hadn't had someone backing her before that. And she's just like my right arm. I heard the expression once that, trust is kind of like who is that person that you'd let pack your parachute for you? Like, she's the person that would pack my parachute, yeah. So it's really important to me giving people the opportunity, giving them, a bit of a hand up, because I feel like I've had so many opportunities in my life. And what was the second part of that question, Liz?
I think you've answered it. It's kind of like, how can others do more of that in terms of whether it's empowering women or the next generation well?
I think it's just giving people opportunities, women and all people. But, it's about, if you want to support female businesses, buy from them. It's one way to support them.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I don't even know what question to ask, but I just want to touch on that relationship that you've got with your business partner, Angie, and how did that come about, and how has it influenced you in building this journey?
Well, we've been working together for a really long time, I think probably about 16 years now.
Wow.
And she's super smart, and she's caring, and she's kind, and I think she also has some very different skills to me. We're kind of like opposite profiles when we've looked at that.
Yeah. So cool.
And so she's always been like my right arm in the business. And when I had the opportunity to take over the ownership of the company, I wanted to bring Angie on the journey as well.
Amazing.
So we looked at a way of how we could bring her on as a shareholder, and so she's a shareholder with me today. I have another business partner for one of our Skintopia locations down in Wellington called Hayley. She's incredible too, and that's something that we've done with her as well.
It's very cool.
How do you find these amazing people, and what's the process of bringing them on board as
that's
shareholders?
One of my special talents.
Hey.
I'm really good at finding good people.
Yeah.
Cool. I think a lot of it for me probably is a little bit of gut instinct. I think I'm pretty good at judging people. I don't always get it right, and there's been, maybe some failures along the way. But for the most part, I seem to be good at finding people, and I think it comes back to values as well. If you've got people that fit with your team and your ethos of how you want to do things, and then providing people with opportunities and just creating a great workspace. Yeah, it's very cool.
It's your superpower. Is that your superpower?
I think it might be.
Do you have any other superpowers?
Oh, remember I don't like talking
I know.
about myself.
That's why I've asked you.
I think I'm quite creative in the sense of I'm creative at coming up with solutions to problems. I look at things differently. So I think, and that's been great with marketing and promotions over the years, or innovating the business, or looking at new opportunities to diversify. So I think those things I'm good at. I'm strategic. I'm a strategic thinker. Yeah.
Brilliant. Got you to talk about yourself.
So what advice would you give to your younger self?
Okay, probably quite a lot, because I think I thought I knew everything, and I certainly didn't. I touched on this before, but upskill on the financials. I think everybody needs to have if you want to work in business, if you want to work in marketing, work in sales, you need to understand these things. You need to know how to price products. You need to know about margins. You need to understand how it all fits together. So definitely that is one area. I'd also tell my younger self that you need to focus on the culture of the organisation, which but also I think it's one of those things that it comes with time and experience as well. I don't know that 27-year-old me really would have got it. Also, don't be afraid to fail. It's all, and don't be too hard on yourself when you do fail, because failing is part of the journey. And if you're not failing enough, you're probably not taking big enough risks. And it's all about, the lessons that you learn along the way.
I think the word fail is flawed. I think if we could just call it something else, people would maybe be more comfortable or open to it. But
let me know when you come up with that word.
And
it's my children's book.
Okay. Yes, good idea.
Do you have any techniques that has helped you to get through, I'm going to use the word now, but failure? Or the sense of failure?
Yeah, and it's hard because I still struggle with it. Like, I don't like to fail. I like to win,
Totally.
But I think it is just, being kind to yourself. Like, you've got to be kind to yourself, and you've got to take lessons from it. I think talking it through with other people, and dissecting what's gone wrong, because I do have a tendency to be really hard on myself. So sometimes I find that when I go over it with other people, it's more like, okay, there's a bit of reassurance that there were some external factors at play, or whatever's happened here, and just take the lessons from it, really.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say on that
No,
one.
that's perfection.
But if you come up with something, please give me those techniques.
Do we talk about failure enough as a
probably
community?
Probably not. Like, I think, we all like to celebrate the wins, and we like everything to look glamorous, and we like to, self-promote on LinkedIn and Instagram and everything that's going right. But no, we don't, we don't talk about failure. And probably we should,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's the environments that kind of allow that to happen, that you really see some incredible stuff where there's the sense of psychological safety to admit I got it wrong, and not feel like there's going to be some horrible consequence to it, but because that's personal as well as cultural, in terms of
And I think there's a huge amount of growth to come from really unpacking it and making peace with it, but also understanding where you went wrong. Because if you if you fail but you don't unpack it, then potentially you're going to make that same mistake again, right? So,
but that's where environments where you can create, have people who role model this, who acknowledge that that there's an opportunity to change someone's frame on this, because maybe they didn't grow up in an environment where getting it wrong was okay, or their last job there were consequences if they got it wrong, so they're
definitely creating that safe space, and you want that for your team members as well. You want to empower them to be able to fail within certain parameters. Like, what are the guardrails? Like, we talk about that quite a lot at Dermalogica, is giving people guardrails so that they know the boundaries of where they can go to. But then you've got to experiment, you've got to try things, and it's part of everyone's development.
Totally. You're very why driven. It seems you've got a very deep sense of purpose. Why is that important to you, and where did that sense of purpose come from for you?
Well, I think I've had great role models. One of them, being my mum, but also the founder of Dermalogica, whose name is also Jane. My mum is Jane, and Jane Werwind, who founded Dermalogica. She is an incredible leader, and she's done so much in the space of supporting female entrepreneurship. And just, I've been exposed to her from such a early stage of my career. She's a fabulous speaker, and she's just impacted so many women's lives globally, helping them to run really successful businesses in the skincare industry. She came up with an amazing initiative. I think it was around 2007, 2008, and it was called FIGHT, which stood for Financial Independence Through Entrepreneurship. And it was powered by Kiva. So it was looking at microfinance loans for women in developing countries. And through the program, over time, they've been able to activate 75,000 loans to women in developing countries.
Wow.
I mean, for me, being part of a company that has done that and seeing her has been a huge inspiration for me. And I think that's really... it's really driven my why, which is all around helping empower women to feel confident and, independent.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what impact has education and community had on you as a business owner?
Well, I've spoken a little bit about our owner manager program. I don't know if you plugged for that today. I mean, it really was fantastic. I'd recommend it to anyone who's thinking of it.
We're not paying her.
I know, I'm not being paid. But yeah, that for me was great because I hadn't really done a lot of education since I'd finished university. So I'd had a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And I'd been thinking about doing an MBA, and that's still in the back of my mind. At one point, will I do that? But what I really loved about the owner manager program is coming together with a group of 20 other business owners, and that's in that sort of small to medium sized business space that from all walks of life, like farmers and and like all sorts of people, like such a diverse group. But when you boil it all down, you've all got the same fundamental challenges. And it was really nice to be able to work through that program with them in that safe space where we could talk about, like what you're talking about, Liz, about failures and how do we learn from them and everything. So for me, that was amazing, and it helped me form, a network. So that community, and I've since, Angie's since done the program. We've had another team member go on the leadership course. So that's been really important. And also, like, within our own organisation, we do a lot in terms of educating our industry. So we put on a lot of workshops and programs that are specific to the skincare industry. So it's like really important to us. Like with Dermalogica, that company itself was initially an education business. So before Dermalogica was even formulated, it was there was a training organisation called the International Dermal Institute, which offered generic skincare training to the industry. Started out of America, became global, and it was a few years into the journey that they then developed Dermalogica. So you could say that education's always been very embedded into what we do. So we do a lot of training. So did I answer that question?
You did. And you can't listen to this and not hear community in the broadest sense of
we
the
have
word.
Amazing community within our own group of customers. We often refer to ourselves as a tribe. We have a tribal language of how we speak. And we're in a female-dominated industry. I believe that the professional beauty industry has a higher percentage of female-owned businesses than any other industry in the world. And when things are tough, like I see our customers rallying around each other. They're very supportive during the highs and the lows. The recent flood event in the East Coast, one of our customers got really badly affected. Everyone has rallied around her. We've started to give a little page. Our customers are donating to it. Like it's been really special. So community is really important within what we do.
Sounds like a global community as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a global community. Like we have we've had some incredible international events where we've taken groups of customers and team members overseas. And when you get 2,000 people together in a massive auditorium in Las Vegas and they're mainly women, and it's really powerful. And you've got these incredible speakers, and I've seen 2,000 people sitting there crying. It is. It is quite a special industry to be part of, like a lot of really kind-hearted, empathetic people that, they get into the beauty industry or the professional skin industry because they want to make people feel good about themselves. So it's such a joy being part of it.
It's so cool. You can see the joy just on you from being passionate about what you do and wanting to see other women succeed as well, which is why it's so amazing to be able to partner with you for the EmpowHER scholarship. I get very, very excited thinking about the people on the other side of those, applications.
Me
And
too, yeah. I can't wait to see them come
me
through.
too.
It's going to be great.
Very cool, eh? Like just they will pour their heart into that and to get some support from you guys, yourself is so valuable to them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing prize because, they're going to get so much value out of it. I mean, I think the program from the Icehouse in itself is going to give so much value, but also what we're offering is some one-on-one business mentorship with myself and Rowan from Saben, and also various key members of our team. So, if they want to really understand, e-commerce, like we've got in-house experts from both companies where we can talk about this is how we do things, or whether it's social media or understanding logistics. There's all sorts of things that we're hoping that we can add a lot of value to somebody who's starting out on their journey, as well as the cash grant that we're giving.
Yes.
It's sometimes with the best will in the world, getting a perspective when you're day in day out trying to do your thing. So to just be able to come out and talk to people like you and Roanne and get some perspective.
Totally. It's all about taking yourself out of the business, right?
Yeah. And based on, with people who've been there, done that, still on a journey, still, working out what to do more of and but who will have a perspective that will be so valuable.
Yeah, and I've benefited myself from mentors over the years and different, coaches that we've worked with. And so I understand, how valuable that is. And not everybody can afford to pay that when they're starting out, right? So
or doesn't know where to get it.
Know where to get it, that's an important one too.
What does success look like for you? Where do you want to take this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you can earn all the money and make all the money in the world, and it's not going to bring you happiness, right? We all know that. So those things are nice, but for me, success is having that balance of what I want out of life at the same time. I definitely want to support women in their careers, and I want to be able to do that in a multitude of ways. But I also don't want it to come, like my career or my success to come at the cost of like my own well-being or like special time with my family and my children. So for me, success is, it's having a meaningful work, doing meaningful work, where it's something that you're passionate about and, that you've got skills in, and hopefully those two things intersect. And that, for me, that creates a successful career,
Nice.
Yeah, that's so cool. Love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your leadership story with us on a Seat at the Table podcast.
Yeah, it's been really nice to be here. Thank you.
No worries. And anyone that's listening that would like to learn more about that scholarship, there'll be information in the caption and in the detail there. So we'll make sure you have access to that. But really excited to see where that goes and to do an interview with the winner as well. So that will be exciting.
Oh, absolutely. I'll look forward to that.
Yes. But thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks,
Cool.
Liz.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to A Seat at the Table. If you haven't already, check out Season 1 to hear similar business and leadership stories empowering diversity and community. See you next month.